morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Clap your hands, clap, clap, clap. Stomp your feet, stomp, stomp, stomp. Spin around, spin, spin, spin. Alright. Good morning, good morning, good morning. 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 Wash your hands, wash, wash, wash. Shake your hands, shake, shake, shake. Brush your teeth, brush, brush, brush. Alright. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, and that. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right, it's me, Uncle Lou, and I'm live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it also, and too, welcome to the morning show with Uncle Lou. Pour yourself a cup of coffee in that, your morning Johann in that, and let's chat. Austin Price, thank you for the super chat. I hope you're having a good morning. Something tells me that you are. Good morning to everyone on the LouTube. And he says, War Eagle. Yeah, good luck to you this weekend, sir. Lord knows you'll need it. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be something similar to what we saw, Georgia, Florida, Auburn-LSU. I think it's going to be one of those types of games. I don't think anybody expects this to be like a 45-40 type of game. I think it's, maybe somewhere in the 20s, maybe even the teens. Yep. Any basketball fans? Everybody comes to this channel because they're a football fan, but a certain percentage of those people are basketball fans. So every year as the channel gets bigger, the number of people who care about basketball gets bigger. I'm still going to talk about football year-round. But we may talk a little bit more. Last year, I think I talked more about basketball during basketball season than I ever have before. A lot of people were asking about it. This year, we'll probably do the same. We'll talk a lot about basketball during basketball season, but this will always be a college football channel, and I understand that some people could care less about college basketball or the NFL or whatever. So, 95% of everything we do here is always going to be college football, but we're always going to talk a little bit of NFL, a little bit of college basketball, things like that. Speaking of college basketball, where's my Kentucky fans at, though? Where's my Kentucky fans at? How in the hell do you lose to Evansville at home? A 25-point favorite, the third largest defeat in I forget how many years they said in terms of point spread. Just embarrassing and humiliating. Florida's already lost a game too. It's just pathetic and sad. Tennessee had to have a miracle come from behind win last night to some terrible team. Who was it Tennessee played last night? Some terrible team. They were getting smoked at halftime. Who was it? Anyway, somebody terrible. But my dogs are rolling, off to an amazing start, 2-0. I expect Georgia to make the NCAA tournament this year. I gave them a pass last year because first-year head coach and literally all our talent from the year before had left. I gave Tom Crean a pass. He doesn't get that He doesn't get the benefit of the doubt this year, though. I expect Georgia to make the NCAA tournament. Do I expect Georgia to win the national title or the SEC or the SEC tourney? No, but I expect Georgia to be one of the best 65 teams and make the college basketball tournament this year. Anything less than that is unacceptable to Uncle Lou. So, I've had 2 coaches fired. I don't let you be the third, Tom Crean. All the talent is not gone again. We have one of the best players in America. It's Anthony Edwards. If you ain't watched, you need to watch. He's the real deal. Georgia should make the NCAA tournament this year. We still have Tyree Crump there. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, but Georgia should make the tournament this year. Period. That's all there is to it. Coming up later on the show today for Today in LouTube history, man, I found a great one for you guys today that I'll play during my pee break later. It's a video from the day after Mark Richt was fired back in 2015. And, of course, I was very loud and vocal for about a month leading up to Mark Richt getting fired, that he needed to be fired. After he was fired, I had plenty to say about it, and it irritated a lot of people, Georgia fans. And so the day after he was fired, I made a video about it. It's pretty entertaining. I don't know if I'll play the whole thing because I think it's like 9 minutes long, but I'll play some of it, and then after I play it, if you want to watch the rest of it, I'll post a link or tell you what to look up to find it or what the name of it is or whatever. You guys know the routine, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, you do. Hey, shout out to the guys over at the Color Rush podcast. They called into the call-in show last night, too. Good guys out there. One of them goes to Texas A&M. They're both college students. They got this podcast up and running, the Color Rush podcast. It's a college football podcast, but they have sort of a different take on it than what you might be used to from other people. Who's getting timed out here? What are y'all doing? Trolling in the morning. Y'all are something might be. Why would you time somebody out for saying Edwards is a one and done? I don't understand what y'all are doing here. Who timed him out? Nick was timed out by Captain Trips. Why did he get timed out for saying Edwards is a one and done? Everyone thinks Edwards is a one and done. I don't understand why you would time him out for that. This is starting to happen on every single stream. I think I have too many mods. We might have to trim the fat. I don't know. Last night somebody gave me a $100 super chat, and then a mod went in and deleted his comment. I'm like, wait, what are you doing, man? You can't. That's taking it way too far. I don't know what's going on. Edwards is one and done. You want to time me out too? I mean, that's just what it is. It made me lose my train of thought in that. The Color Rush podcast. You guys check it out. There's a link in the description of this video. You can find it the usual podcast places: Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, wherever you listen to your podcast. But it's a college football podcast, but they have a different take on it than probably anything you've heard before. And it's pretty entertaining. So you guys check it out. They've been kind enough to sponsor these morning shows for what are they doing? The month of November, I think. So they've been good to me. Let's return the favor. You guys check them out when you have some free time on your lunch break, after work, after school, at school, if you're one of those type people, while you're working out, well, whatever. If you're into podcasts, give them a listen. I think you'll enjoy it. College football playoff poll, of course, came out last night. We spent the majority of last night's show talking about that, so maybe I'll respond to some of y'all's comments on that at some point in the show. But just about anything I have to say about it, I said on the live show last night, which Kanye West took down, by the way. But never fear. Kanyeezy ain't got nothing on me. It will be back up tomorrow. Bet, Kanye. In the show last night, and I stayed on for like an hour playing music for you guys in the comment section. I must have played 50 different songs. One person had a problem with it. Kanye West. That's fine. We'll see who has the last laugh. Kanyeezy. Yeah. Don't worry, it'll be back up tomorrow. It was a good show too. A lot of Gump trolling. It was great. It was amazing. I don't think I'm telling y'all anything you don't already you don't already know. What y'all think about Ed Orgeron? What he had to say in the locker room after the Alabama game. Is there anybody that has a problem with that? I can't imagine anybody. I've seen some Alabama fans refer to it as classless, or he just ain't got no class, or the whole act like you've done it before thing. Does anybody really have a problem with what Ed Orgeron said in the locker room after the game? Don't you want a coach like that? Yeah, it's the Alabama fans, Bush League. I mean, I guess I can understand Alabama fans sorry about that. Alabama fans being upset, maybe like the whole salt in the wound thing, but I don't know. And I'll tell you what bothers me about it is that it was live streamed. That's how it got out. It was live streamed onto Instagram by an LSU player. Like, what? Now that I have a problem with. I don't think anybody, especially players, should be live streaming things from their cell phone 5 minutes after a football game in the locker room. That I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with what Orgeron said to his team and what he thought was going to be, a private moment between him and the team and the rest of the coaches or whoever else might have been in there. I don't have a problem with what he said. Ed Orgeron's an emotional guy. I mean, you don't have to watch too many Ed Orgeron press conferences or halftime speeches on the way to the locker room or pregame speeches on the way out of the tunnel that he gives to the media. You don't have to watch very many of those to realize that Ed Orgeron's a pretty emotional guy. So, was I surprised that Ed Orgeron was completely over the top in the locker room talking to his team in a moment that he thought no one was going to hear? No, I'm not surprised at all, and I liked it. But the fact, the issue should be with the LSU player who streamed it live. That's ridiculous. Quentin says, what did he say? I'll play it for you here. Joseph Vining, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, I hope there's a killer hype video this week. Yeah, the Hype and 8 video will be up Friday this week for sure. Unforeseen circumstances last week caused me to put it off from Friday to Saturday. We were having some work done on the house here. We're getting a bathroom remodeled, and that was the first day the people were here doing it, and it was just a big mess. I tried to sit out here and work, but the idiots kept coming out here like every 5 minutes with some stupid-ass question. So anyway, the Hype and Hate video for Auburn will be up Friday. Today there's going to be a super fan video. It's probably going to be up later this afternoon than normal, though. It's 25 degrees here in Augusta this morning. So after I do my live show, I'm going to work inside for a little bit on some things. And then probably after lunchtime, I'll come back out here and film today's video, which will be a super fan video. So stay tuned for that. We'll see who we see. I'm sure 90 Proof or Luther probably has something to say about the Gumps being ranked 5th. Bob DeBarner might have something to say about the Georgia game this week. Who else? Oh, Natty Back Steve. I'm sure Natty Back Steve is celebrating finishing second in the East this year. Here's an interesting thought. If Tennessee wins one of its next couple of games and becomes bowl eligible, do you think that would be enough to bring General Valtard back from the dead? That's an interesting question. Celine Driver, good morning, sir. Thank you for your super chat. He says, it was an honor to be there, sir, and to meet the man. 1,537 miles, 5 states, Dragon Slayer, Garage Queen. I don't think so. Yeah, it was the honor and the privilege belonged to Uncle Lou, sir. Had a great time hanging out with you for a couple of days there. Yeah. No doubt. Quentin Southard, thank you for the super chat, sir. What did he say exactly? Sorry, I'm behind. Okay, let me pull it up. I'll pull it up. I'm just gonna play the audio there, though. Probably. I'll play it for you. All right, you got to remember, this is live streamed from the LSU locker room right after the game. So it's noisy. It's not the best audio in the world. It was live streamed by a player on Instagram. So here you go.
Say Change the narrative.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
We gonna beat their ass in recruiting. We gonna beat their ass every time they see us.
Oh, God.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Roll Tide, what? Fuck you.
I'll play it one more time.
Change the narrative.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
We gonna beat their ass in recruiting. We gonna beat their ass every time they see us.
Oh, God.
You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Roll Tide, what? Fuck you.
And I mean, you know, some Alabama fans are upset about it. Roll Tide, what? F you. Some Alabama fans are upset about it. You know, there's probably other people who there might even be. I don't know this, but there might even be some LSU fans who are upset about it just because of the language. I'm sure every fan base has these dried up pieces of crap. I'm sure every fan base has some of these dried up pieces of crap. There was a video that floated around. I believe it was before the national. I can't remember if it was before the national title game that Georgia played in, or if it was before the SEC championship game last year. Some of you Georgia fans will remember it, and you probably saw it. Where Kirby Smart, it's filmed at the indoor practice facility. I don't know who filmed it. It's Kirby Smart. The team is all sitting down, and Kirby Smart's walking back and forth talking to the team, and he's pretty animated, and he's cussing, and he drops a lot of F-bombs, and some Georgia fans got bent out and say he shouldn't be talking like that. And so there's probably some corn doggers that said that too, but mostly it's just Alabama fans whose feelings are hurt because they took a giant L at home, and their light show is terrible, and they're mad about that, so they're lashing out at Ed Orgeron. But let me see if I can find that Kirby Smart, the Kirby Smart one, because it's pretty good too. There you go.
Goddamn day go by that we don't come out here with shit up our ass ready to go. It's time to fucking go. All I want to do is fucking eat. I want you to eat. I want you to eat. I want you to want this shit. Do you want it? Do you want it? Show me.
That one got a couple of the Bob O'Reilly Georgia fans all bent out of shape. That's what I call them, the Bob O'Reilly fans. These people that still think Bob O'Reilly is a good entrance song for Georgia, which is Georgia's got the worst entrance song in all of college football, don't they? I mean, I love Georgia, but that entrance song, who hears that song and gets fired up? It just makes no sense. Anyway, I don't know. I don't have a problem with what Ed Orgeron said. I have a problem with a player live streaming it. Not because of what Ed Orgeron said. I just don't think players should be live streaming speeches from the locker room after the game. No matter what the coach said. Sam Barclay, thank you for the super chat, sir. He says, "What's up, ORGERON? Ed Orgeron speech. Looking forward to Deep South's oldest rivalry." Yeah, this will be the last year that we get to play it in its normal time slot. In which game 10. We played Auburn game 10. What seems like forever. Auburn crying to the SEC office about how the scheduling's not fair. So starting next year, the Georgia-Auburn game will be much earlier in the season going forward. So we'll see what Auburn comes up with to cry. I mean, we're going to beat them no matter when we play them. We're just a better program than Auburn. That's why we've owned them since pretty much the beginning of time. Anyway, so I don't think very many people on a channel like this one are going to have a problem with what Orgeron said, no matter what team you're a fan of. Like I said, unless maybe you're an Alabama fan and your feelings are just hurt in general. But generally speaking, people on a channel like this, I don't think are going to have a problem with what Orgeron said in that post-game speech, or the clip I played of Kirby, the practice speech that time. Most people who hang around a channel like this, I don't think are going to have a problem with that. But there are people who do. But In the case of Georgia, the people that complain about those are those Bob O'Reilly fans, So, what can you do? Unfortunately, not much. Who's here this morning? There's a lot of y'all here. Nick, good morning. Dave McAllister, Matthew Everett, Allen V. Dog life ain't easy. No, it ain't. Dennis Wilson, Ryan Sherlin, SEC Dog. People baffle me. Good morning, sir. I still chuckle on the inside every time I see that name. DJ Doom, what's up, buddy? Sorry for your loss, sir. And two. CJ Davis, Kevin, the ultimate troll, George on my mind, Tope Daddy, Border Bob, Keith Saxon, Scott Harris, Jarvis S, Z Money. Who's going to win NFL Rookie of the Year? You have to start with the quarterbacks. Not Kyler Murray. I told you that dude will be playing baseball in a couple of years. I don't know who's going to win it this year. I think that Bosa out of Ohio State, I think, is having a pretty good year. There's some running backs that are having pretty good years. David Montgomery having a pretty good year. Josh Jacobs is having a good year. I saw somebody name him just now. A couple people name him Bosa. Yeah, he's having a really good year. Yeah, no, Kyler Murray's not going to win it. Daniel Jones is not going to win it. Who are the other quarterbacks? Dwayne Haskins not going to win it. Bosa or Jacobs seems to be the most popular guesses in the comment section. McCole Hardman is playing amazing. He is for the Chiefs. I don't pretend to be an NFL expert, but I do. I casually pay attention to the NFL, and I remember thinking when Miko got drafted, I remember heading into the draft thinking, if Miko goes to the right team, I really think he could have some success in the NFL. He's way undersized, I said, but I think if he goes to the right team that can use him in sort of a niche type of way. And when he got picked up by the Chiefs, I was thinking that's perfect. They have one of these not gimmicky offenses, but they have one of these crazy offenses that utilizes 6-7 different players. They had, of course, at the time, Tyreek Hill, so they know how to use these small, really quick, fast, undersized type of gimmicky slot receivers and returner type things. And McCole Hardman has had a great year. Of the Georgia rookies, he's definitely having the best year. DeAndre Baker's having a rough year in New York with the Giants, but everybody with the Giants is having a rough year. And I don't know. I have a theory that there's 3 positions that are really, really hard to when you go up in competition, whether it's high school to college or college to NFL. I think the 3 most difficult positions to adjust to the new competition level, in no particular order, really, is quarterback, left tackle, and corner. And of course, DeAndre Baker is a corner. So he's struggled a little this year. I've haven't watched very many Giants games, but I've seen him get burnt a couple of times. And Bad Dog, who was in the comment section earlier, I hear him talk about DeAndre Baker a lot, and he struggled a little. I still have faith that DeAndre Baker can be a really, really good corner in the NFL. It's just hard to make that transition year one, I think, a lot of times for corner, left tackles, and quarterbacks. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Colton, good morning, sir. Appreciate you tuning in this morning, and thank you for the super chat. Says, hope you have a good morning. I'm going to have a great morning. Luann is home sick, unfortunately. She got sick, what was yesterday? Tuesday? Was yesterday Tuesday? Yeah, she got sick Monday night. Started getting a little bit of a fever. And then yesterday morning she had like 102 fever. Anyway, so she stayed home yesterday. She's home again today. Got her all doped up on medicine. Tylenol, Gatorade, chicken noodle soup, chicken and dumplings. So she'll be back. She'll be back to normal soon, but she's down and out for the count right now. Lou, who you got winning the SEC? Come on, man. Georgia. I think LSU's a really good team. I'm not going to knock LSU this morning, but they haven't played a defense like Georgia. They haven't. Georgia hasn't played an offense like LSU. It's going to be a good game. These people who think LSU is going to beat Georgia 45-17 or something, I don't know if they just started watching football yesterday or what. I have no idea. I'm not going to tell you LSU can't win the game. LSU's not scoring 40 or 50 points on Georgia. These people that think that can just I don't even know what to say about it. Either you're completely football ignorant or you're just so blinded by your hate for Georgia or Uncle Lou that you literally can't see straight. Georgia's defense is unbelievable. When's the last time anybody in the comments say, when's the last time your defense shut out 3 teams in a year? I mean, we're giving up 8 points a game, for Christ's sake. And it's not like this is week 2 or 3, okay? We're a couple of weeks away from the end of the regular season. We're giving up 8 points a game. Okay, Georgia's defense is for real. LSU is not going to move up and down the field. When LSU and Georgia play, it'll be similar to the Georgia-Auburn game. And I think Georgia's defense is better than Auburn's. And they scored 23 on the barn. So we'll see what happens. And that was in LSU. This will be a neutral site game. Tim, I've been trying to get Bad Dog on. It's my fault for not messaging him sooner, but he will be on soon. He said he's off. He works, so some people can't come on at 8 in the morning. He works, but he did tell me he's off for a series of days coming up at the end of November. So I'm going to do my absolute best to get him on during one of those days. Yeah, no rushing touchdowns allowed. I mean, that's I'm not saying LSU can't win the game, but it will be a really good game. I didn't make up the expression that defense wins championships. I'm not saying that to say that Georgia has a great defense, so they're going to win it all. But the point is, when you have a really good defense, it gives you a chance to win almost any game you're in. Who in the bejesus can stop Jefferson and Chase? Well, Auburn, so far, right? I don't know what you consider stopping. When you play a team that averages 45 points a game and you hold them to the 20s, I consider that pretty good. So that would have to be Georgia's goal on defense, would be to hold LSU into the 20s, right? If you look at the Georgia-Alabama game from 2 years ago, Alabama was scoring how many points a game? 40. Georgia held them to 26 in the national title game and had a chance to win, right, after everybody said Alabama was going to blow us out. Look at last year in the SEC title game. Same thing. Alabama was scoring 50-something points a game. People said Alabama was going to blow us out. We held them to 35, lost by 7. So the LSU Georgia game will be the same way. The Typer trolls are going to say that LSU is going to blow Georgia out. They're going to type about South Carolina till they're blue in the face like it actually matters, and then the game is going to be close. If I had to guess, like the odds of the game, I would bet that Vegas would probably put LSU as a 3 or 4 point favorite in that game. LSU's a great team. LSU's a great team. LSU is definitely a top 4 team. I don't think there's anybody who thinks LSU is not a top 4 team. I think Georgia's a top 4 team, but not everyone agrees with that. And it's not just because they hate Georgia or hate me or whatever. Like Georgia's not obviously a top 4 team like LSU is. But I have questions about LSU's defense. Who doesn't? Don't y'all have questions about LSU's defense or not? I don't know. Didn't they give up 30-something points to Vandy? They've given up points they've given up a lot of points in a lot of games. So Georgia doesn't have a great offense, but it's better than Vandy's. So we'll see. It'll be a good game. But LSU, I mean, this idea that, LSU's got a good offense, so they're going to come in and hang 45 on Georgia, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Alabama's defense this year isn't in the same league as Georgia's. It's just not. Anyone, you have to know that. I don't understand how anybody can watch any amount of college football and not know that. Alabama's defense this year is not the defense you're used to seeing from Alabama. It's just not. They've had injuries again. 3 freshmen, I think, starting on defense, 2 at inside linebacker. It's just not the same defense. Their defensive backs are not where they need to be. Georgia's defense is miles better than Alabama's. So, and Alabama almost beat them. Now, Alabama's got a better offense than Georgia, right? So, it'll be an interesting game when that comes around. All right, let Uncle Lou take his pee break here, and then I'll get back to educating you guys in the comment section. If you weren't here in the beginning, this video is from November of 2015, the day after Mark Richt was fired. If you weren't around the channel back then, I was very loud and borderline obnoxious with my desire to get rid of Mark Richt in 2015. He was fired. And it really hurt the feelings of a lot of Georgia fans. It amazes me the number of people who spell chalk. It just blows my mind. I see it all the time. Here's one here, James Massengill. UGA chalks a lot. I don't even know what the hell that means. But chokes is, I mean, it's not a weird spelling. It's not, it's not autocorrect. It's just people who literally think that chokes is spelled CHOCKS, and I see it way too often. I'm assuming, James, that you're from Alabama because their education system is ranked 49th in America, but chalks is just not a word, and I just see that way too much. It's just hilarious. And UGA always chalks. It just makes no sense at all. You people, I don't understand. They didn't chalk in the SEC title game in 2017. That's a big game. They didn't chalk in the first round of the playoffs against Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. That's a big game. They chalked twice, and that's about it. They had big leads on Alabama. Why? Because they were a much better team both years than Alabama, and they blew it in the second half. So they chalked to Alabama twice. I guess Alabama chalked to LSU. Alabama chalked big time to LSU at home. At least when Georgia chalks, they do it on a neutral field. Alabama chalked at home. That's sad. You chalked at home to LSU. How's that possible? No one knows.
Good morning, Uncle Lou here. With some more thoughts on this Mark Richt situation at the University of Georgia. It was an interesting day yesterday, to say the least. And I've come to a definitive conclusion, at least in my mind, about something that I have thought may be true for quite a while now. And the more time that goes by since Mark Richt's firing yesterday at about this time, the more time that goes by, the more I'm starting to believe that this actually is the case. But you have two distinct sets of fans right now within the Georgia Bulldog community. You have Georgia Bulldogs fans, and you have Mark Richt fans. And you have a lot that are both. So I don't want to, I don't want to leave that out either. But I'm starting to realize, like I said, that what I thought for a while now, that there is a certain segment of Georgia fans who are Georgia fans only because of Mark Richt. In other words, they're Mark Richt fans. They're not really. I don't want to say that. But they're bigger fans of Mark Richt than they are of the Georgia Bulldogs, and that is evident. If you've spent any time reading the comments on any of these UGA blog sites or Facebook pages over the last 24 hours. I liked Mark Richt. I've been saying it. You know, I don't really know how else to say it or how to better emphasize it. I liked Mark Richt. I thought he was a good coach. I don't think he was a great coach, and I do think it was time for the University of Georgia to go in a different direction. I do believe that. I don't hate Mark Richt. I'm not, happy or excited that this is what we're having to do. I wish we could have won it all, or at least been a little bit more competitive over the last 5-6 years than we have with Mark Richt. If we had, he'd be the coach today. That's the bottom line. But an interesting rift is developing here between these Georgia fans. But, I'm going to go ahead and say this too. There's a lot of Georgia fans that don't like me, okay? There's a lot of people in general that don't like me, but particularly over the last 3 months or so, there's a lot of Georgia fans, or so-called Georgia fans, Mark Richt fans mainly, that don't like Uncle Lou for obvious reasons. And I have been told by hundreds, probably thousands of people, either on YouTube, Twitter, or Facebook, over the last 3 months, been told by hundreds of thousands of people, I'm not a Georgia fan. I'm a fake fan. I'm not a real fan because a real fan wouldn't want Mark Richt fired. A real fan, this is the key. This is the key here, what I was told. A real fan supports the university no matter what. That's what I've been told over and over and over and over again for the past 2.5 months. A real fan supports the university no matter what. That's what I've been told. And that therefore I'm not a real fan because I disagreed with the administration's decision to keep Mark Richt. Okay, fast forward to yesterday. Mark Richt's fired. Okay, well, all those people who've been preaching, which is the key word here, preaching to Uncle Lou, that real fans support the university and the administration no matter what, all of those people have tuck-tailed and ran. They're in bashing Georgia. I'm never going to another game. I can't believe Georgia did this. What are they thinking? This is dumb. They shouldn't have done this. Hello, sir, ma'ams. Support the university no matter what, remember? So now you're not a real fan then. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? It's hypocritical. It's hypocritical. And I'm going to explain something else to it. And this isn't going to be popular either. People aren't going to like this either, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Mark Richt fans, or those Mark Richt fans that are more of a Mark Richt fan than they are of a University of Georgia fan, for those people, it's not about football. That's what you have to understand. And a lot of people outside of the Georgia fan base, this is what they don't understand. A lot of the people who are pro Mark Richt and wanted to keep him around forever and ever and ever and give him a lifetime extension, a very large percentage of those people don't care at all whether he wins or loses 1 game, 10 games, or 14 or 15. They don't care. They don't care. To a large percentage of those people, it's not about wins. It's about religion. Period. Now, a lot of people, that's going to upset a lot of people, and that's fine. That's my opinion. A lot of the Mark Richt fans, for a lot of those people, it's about religion, plain and simple. Mark Richt goes on camera and talks about God and Jesus and gives us testimony and does all this kind of thing. And that's all those people need to know. For a large majority of the Mark Richt supporters, that's all they need to know. That's it. It's not about wins and losses. It's not about SEC titles. It's not about national titles. It's not about winning big games. It's not about beating Florida. It's about Mark Richt and his religion. That is what it is. So if you live up north, or if religion is no big deal to you, and you might not understand that, but this whole cult, which is really what it is, a cult of Mark Richt followers who follow him around based just off of his religion, that routine, there's a lot of colleges in America where that routine wouldn't work. In fact, here, I'll give you an example. Somebody mentioned to me yesterday, Mark Richt would be great at University of Miami. He played there, he coached there for a little while before he went to FSU. They're hiring, he can go down there. And I told him straight up, Mark Richt's routine's not going to work in a city like Miami. It's just not. Mark Richt's not a big town guy. He needs a job in a small town, preferably in the South. A small town with small-minded people who care more about God and guns than they do winning football games. That's where Mark Richt is going to succeed the most. That's where he got the majority of his support from at UGA. It was his religious stance and the fact that he was outspoken about it. That's where Mark Richt gets a majority of his support among the Georgia fan base. For those people, it's not about wins and losses. So I would ask those people, who's the real fan? The fan that wants more, the fan that's not happy with third in the East and winning 9 games, or the person who only wants a coach based off their religious belief and doesn't care about wins or losses. Now, with all that being said, I'm not telling anybody they're not a real fan. I'm just pointing out the hypocrisy between the two arguments, okay? If I'm not a real fan because I wanted the university to part ways with Mark Richt and go in a different direction, if that makes me not a real fan, then the shoe has to now be on the other foot, and you either accept it and deal with it and remain a Georgia fan, or you weren't a real fan. That's just the way it is. Real quick at the end here, because this video's done gone way too long now. I see 3 possible scenarios for Georgia's coaching situation. Scenario number 1, we hire Kirby Smart. If that's the case, my gut instinct would be that we then lose Jeremy Pruitt. So I'm not really sure how much we gain there, although there is a lot of momentum moving in Kirby Smart's direction. That's number 1. Number 2, Tom Herman, an offensive mind, probably the hottest name in college football right now, Tom Herman. If he were to come in and we could somehow keep Jeremy Pruitt to run the defense, I think to me that would be the ideal situation. I believe in Tom Herman. He's had results wherever he's been. He's young. He's energetic. And from what I'm hearing, he's highly interested, quotation marks, in the University of Georgia job. If we could get him, let him handpick an offensive coordinator to run his offense, and keep Jeremy Pruitt as defensive coordinator, to me that's the ideal scenario. Option number 3 is University of Georgia goes in a totally different direction, something that no one's talking about at all. An out-of-the-box hire, somebody like, Greg Schiano. Dan Mullen's name's been battered around. I don't see Mike Bobo coming back, even though some people are talking about that. Chip Kelly has been mentioned. You always hear John Gruden. I don't think he's coming back to coaching, particularly in college. But anyway, those are 3 scenarios I see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I expect a decision to be made or announced sometime between today and next Monday, after the after the SEC championship game on Saturday. But anyway, this is way too long. Sorry if you made it this far. You're a scholar and a gentleman. You probably pay your taxes and vote Republican. But anyway, until next time, good morning.
Yeah, that was interesting to listen to. I probably haven't watched that video since I uploaded it 4 years ago. Man, we sure did dodge a bullet by not going with Mullen, didn't we? I can't believe there was people that actually wanted him. What a joke he is. Dude's been coaching in the SEC 10 years, can't win a division. Oh, what a disaster. Jim Harbaugh in disguise, damn Mullen. Anyway. Justin Fuente was another name that was popping around back then too, and he's kind of crashed and burned at Virginia Tech, hadn't he? He won like 10 games his first year at Virginia Tech, and then he's lost. I mean, he's won less games than that each year since then. Kind of, I don't know. He was a hot name. He was coming from Memphis at the time. Tom Herman, of course, was at Houston at the time. He ended up staying at Houston for one more year and then taking the Texas job, right? Yeah. Who else? What other names were floating around back then? There weren't really that many names. I mean, it was pretty much assumed that Kirby Smart was going to be the guy. Even, I mean, like the second Mark Richt was fired, most people, you know, if they were going to put money on it, they would have put their money on Kirby Smart, and of course that's what ended up happening. And if you look at all the coaches that were talked about back then, you know, Kirby's the one that's had the most success. More success than Herman, more success than Mullen, more success than Chip Kelly, whoever else it was that was mentioned back then. They've all had more success than the only young coaches that have had more success than Kirby Smart since Kirby Smart got to Georgia, I would probably say, well, Lincoln Riley and Kirby are probably close. I know, you know, Lincoln Riley has made it to the playoffs multiple times, but he's never won a playoff game. Kirby did do that. Ryan Day is off to a good start at Ohio State. You know, we'll see how that ends up playing out, but hard to think of another young or new coach who has had the success that Kirby has had in their first few years right now, as far in terms of, you know, who's coaching now. I don't know if I can think of one. If there's somebody I'm forgetting, y'all can let me know. Anyway, am I leaving out? Who's going to get the Arkansas job? Yeah, you know, I have no clue. I'm not sure who would want that job. That's you know, we talk about the Florida State job, and yeah, they're down right now, but you know, I say Florida State is still probably one of the top 15 coaching jobs in all of America just because of where they're at. The conference they're in really only has one team that you have to try to catch right now. You know, the recruiting, you know, Florida State has been really good not that long ago. So I think that's like a top 15 job. Arkansas has got to be like a bottom 15 job, doesn't it? There's not a huge recruiting base there. You know, you're competing with Alabama and LSU and Auburn, and, you know, the SEC. They just fired a coach after less than 2 years. They're nowhere near the talent level they need to be to compete, no matter who the coach is. That's what makes it I'm not saying they did the wrong thing by firing Chad Morris, because you got to show, no matter how bad a team is when you get there, it seems like given 2 years like he was, you have to show some kind of improvement, don't you? Especially when you inherit a really bad team. It's one thing to take the like Ryan Day, for example. If Ryan Day would have got the job this year at Ohio State and they go 10-2, well, that's a step back from what they were last year. So you say, well, he's not improving, but he inherited a 13-win team. But Arkansas was not a 13-win team when Chad Morris got there. They were a bad team, and they just zero improvement. So I'm not saying they did the wrong thing by firing him, but whoever gets that job, I mean, there's no quick fix there. Arkansas is not – I don't care who they hire. They're not winning 10 games next year. They're not winning 10 games the year after that. I don't think they'll win 10 games in 2022. I mean, it's just – Arkansas is just a long way away from I know Gus is from Arkansas, and I don't know. I don't think Gus Malzahn is a good coach, and I think he's only at Auburn because of the buyout. That's it. That he would have got fired last year had his buyout not been $30 million or whatever it was. He would have been gone. That's the only reason he still had a job this year, was because of the buyout. Buyout's a little lower this year, but he's sitting on 2 losses, ranked 11th or 12th. Now, I still think he's going to lose 2 more games. I think he's going to lose Georgia and Alabama. I don't think that's going to be enough for Auburn to fire him, though. So, does he leave on his own? I doubt it. I doubt it. So I know he's from there. The whole PE coach thing, that's where that comes from. He was a high school, he's a football coach in Arkansas. The only reason Gus Malzahn ever even became a college coach of any type is because schools wanted one of his players, and he used that to get a job in college football. He basically tied his employment to that kid's recruitment. If you want this kid, you have to hire me to coach there, type of thing. That's the only way Gus Malzahn ever even got into college football. If not, he'd still be, he'd still be teaching shuffleboard to high school students and coaching on Friday nights. Period. And Barnes stuck with him now. That buyout, 7 years, $49 million, $7 million a year, to get humiliated by Central Florida. Unreal. Anyway. Kanye West took the show down last night, but it'll be back up tomorrow. Don't worry. My people are handling it. So I sent my leg breakers after him. Last night's show will be available on YouTube by tomorrow. Maybe even later this afternoon, but definitely by tomorrow. But Kanye West took it down. I don't have any clue who goes to Florida State. I don't think it's going to be one of the obvious names that people are saying. I don't think it's going to be Bob Stoops. I just have a feeling that it's not. I think it'll be someone else. I'm not sure yet who that someone else, and it won't be Deion Sanders. I don't think Florida State's stupid enough to hire Deion. I don't know how that whole thing even got started. If they hire Deion Sanders as their head coach, what an epic disaster that would be. So I'm not sure who it's going to be. I think it's going to be not one of the big names that you heard right away. Who is going to go to Vandy? You think they'll fire Derek Mason? Aren't they 2-7 right now? Aren't they? Probably going to finish 2-9. I'm not sure if they'll fire him though. I'm taking the barn this Saturday. What is Georgia going to do if they can't run the ball? The same thing they did against Florida. I mean, Florida beat Auburn like they owed them money, and we handled Florida without a problem. The score of the Florida game was not indicative of the way that game went. Georgia dominated that game. Florida had 21 yards rushing, couldn't do anything. Georgia drove the ball on them like they weren't even there. They got bogged down and settled for some field goals. But, I mean, Auburn is clearly not as good as Florida. I mean, if y'all watched that game, it was obvious. UJ needs to beat Auburn. If not, you're going to lose to LSU for a third SEC. Well, yeah, unfortunately for you, GW White, nothing you type in the comment section has any credibility, because if even half the things you said came true, we'd already be sitting on 4 losses. So, unfortunately, just can't take you seriously at this point. Dennis Wilson, you're an idiot. You're a Miami fan. Of course you want Florida State to hire Deion Sanders. What an epic disaster that would be. Yeah, we're Florida State. We're one of the best 15 coaching jobs in all of America. Let's go hire a guy who's never coached at any level, anywhere, ever, period. What a disaster. Would you be shocked if Auburn beat UJ? I've been watching college football for 35 years. Nothing shocks me anymore. Going to be funny when Auburn ends the pup season this Saturday. There's nothing Auburn can do to end Georgia's season. There's nothing they can do. We lose to Auburn and beat Texas A&M. We're still in the SEC title game. You think we go in there and beat LSU, they're going to keep the SEC champ out with 2 losses? No. Come on. Stop it. You lose to Auburn. You lose to LSU. Yeah. I know. Yeah, we lost. I mean, I saw that same comment from you and 100 other people about the Florida game. You lost to South Carolina. You're losing to Florida. So, again, these are all the same people that said we would lose to Auburn in 2017. These are all the same people that said we would lose to Notre Dame. These are all the same people that said we were going to lose to – hell, you said we were going to lose to Tennessee this year. So, I mean, that just takes anything you say. That just lets everyone know. But, yeah, I know. Every time Georgia plays anybody, we're going to lose. I know that. Believe me. I've been reading these comments for 5 years. I know how this works. And then Georgia wins, and then you show right back up in here and talk about how overrated the other team was. I get it. Believe me. You spent all offseason saying Notre Dame was going to beat the hell out of Georgia. And then when that doesn't happen, it's plan B. Well, Notre Dame's no good. We lost to South Carolina, therefore we had no chance against Florida. Believe me. I get it. I get it. Alabama was going to beat us by 40 points in 17, 40 points in 18. LSU was going to, Auburn was going to beat us in the SEC title game. I know all this. I know. Of course Georgia beat Auburn last year. We're 11-3 against Auburn in the last 14 games. I mean, we own Auburn. Doesn't matter where or when we play. I would disagree that the West owns Kirby Smart. And if you knew Kirby Smart's record against the West, you probably would say the same thing, but you don't, because there's very little that you know. Scott G., good morning, sir. Do I think Tennessee will have a breakout season next year? No, but I think their fans will think they will for the 9th year in a row. What's a breakout season? Well, the offense is not – I mean, nothing's going to suddenly click with Georgia's offense. What you see with Georgia's offense is what you're going to get the rest of the season. That's it. That's all there is to it. So you just have to hope that the defense shows up and plays its best game, and that the offense finds a way to convert some of those field goals into touchdowns, and then Georgia can beat a team like LSU. 8 wins is a breakout season for Tennessee. Damn, that's sad. Arkansas Unlimited, thank you for the super chat, sir. Appreciate you and what you do, Lou. Always keep 100. Thanks, sir. Good to see you in here again. Waikiki, thank you for the super chat. Worst case scenario for the college football playoff. Worst case scenario would be Georgia loses to either Auburn or Texas A&M, either one, but then beats LSU, right? Minnesota loses to Iowa this week, but then beats Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. Clemson loses to Wake Forest, but then runs the table 12-1. Those are all. Any of those things it would make it interesting, right? I don't understand. G. White, I hope you're trolling. And it's hard to tell with you sometimes because every once in a while you'll make a comment that makes it seem like you know what the hell you're talking about. But then you go and do things like this where you say you have to have passing, killer passing, which you don't to beat LSU. The team that has come the closest to beating LSU this year, sir, is Auburn. Okay? They can't complete a pass, buddy. Auburn has the worst passing game in the SEC. Bo Nix is terrible. He's one of the worst 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the SEC this season. And but they have a good defense. They held LSU to 23 points. That's how you beat Auburn. I mean, that's how you beat LSU. I mean, literally everything you type is a little bit dumber than the thing you typed before. It's just amazing. You keep going back to that South Carolina game. I mean, you lost to Georgia State, sir. Is Georgia State better than South Carolina, who you beat? Are they? I mean, you have to be trolling. I refuse to believe that there's somebody who knows how to work YouTube, but is also this football stupid. So you have to be trolling. Georgia's not. Who said that? Georgia's not blowing LSU out. Stop it. Is LSU the only team who can stop Ohio State? LSU can't stop Ohio State. Offensively, LSU's defense is terrible. It would take a team with a good defense to stop Ohio State. That's not LSU. I'm not saying LSU can't beat Ohio State. Maybe they outscore them. I don't know. I doubt it. I think Ohio State would be a favorite right now on a neutral field over any team in America. I think the team that would be the smallest underdog would be Clemson. Clemson and Ohio State are basically the same team. They both have top 10 offenses. They both have top 10 defenses. Nobody else can say that. Georgia's got an elite defense but an average offense. LSU's got an elite offense but an average defense. Alabama's got an elite offense and an average defense. Who else is in the mix? Oklahoma's got a great offense but no defense. Oregon, I think Oregon has a really good offense and a really good defense. I don't think they're great or elite on either side. They're just really good on both sides. So they're balanced in that way. But I don't think Oregon's defense is as good as Clemson or Ohio State or Georgia's defense, and I don't think Oregon's offense is as good as Oklahoma's or LSU's or Ohio State's or Clemson's. I don't think UGA would shut down Justin Fields. I don't think anybody would shut down Ohio State's offense. That doesn't mean somebody can't beat them, but I don't think anybody's going to shut them down. They've got a Heisman candidate quarterback, NFL wide receivers, an NFL running back. I mean, a lot of people, Georgia fans especially, are under the impression that Justin Fields only has the numbers he has because they're a spread team that throws the ball around. Ohio State has more rushing yards than Georgia, so it's not that Ohio State just throws the ball around. They're a balanced offense. J.K. Dobbins is really good. If I had to put my money on one person right now to win the Heisman, it would be Burrow. I think the only two people that have a chance to win it are Burrow and Justin Fields. I don't think anybody else has a chance to win it this year. I think it's down to those two. And Burrow is clearly the front runner because he's had his big game. He played really well in his biggest game of the year. Justin Fields will have opportunities to do that against Michigan coming up, I guess, and Penn State. So he'll have two big games, Justin Fields. Justin Fields would have to play like Burrow played against Alabama. Fields would have to play like that against Penn State and Michigan to have a chance. But I think he's the only one that does have a chance. It's going to come down to Justin Fields or Joe Burrow. No, if someone passes for 200 yards, then no, you didn't shut them down. And when you look at Justin Fields, you can't just look at his pass numbers. You have to take his total offense into account. I mean, if Justin Fields throws for 170 yards, and 3 touchdowns, but he runs for 2 touchdowns, I mean, that you can't just pretend that didn't happen. Tyrants, thank you for the super chat, sir. Good morning, Lou. Love the live shows. Keep them coming. Boomer Sooner. Good luck to your Sooners the rest of the way. Y'all got to tighten that defense up, though. Playoff committee. Not a believer in Oklahoma right now. Not a believer in the Big 12 in general right now. Got Baylor still sitting outside the top 10, don't they? It looks almost impossible for the Big 12 to get into the playoffs. Yeah, somebody called Joe Burrow Macaulay Culkin the other day. I thought that was funny. They posted an old picture. It does kind of look like him. No, I had to answer that stupid YouTube thing yesterday. You have to tell YouTube now if your content is specifically designed for kids. I don't know if that's some sort of thing they're using for advertising or what, but do you see Fromm staying another year at UGA? Yes. I mean, I'm not an NFL scout or a GM. I don't know what Fromm has done in 3 years at Georgia that makes the NFL think he's an NFL quarterback. So the NFL is always so desperate for QBs. Maybe he ends up getting a good grade from somebody and decides to go pro. I don't know. But based on the way he's played so far this year, I can't imagine him getting a high enough grade from the NFL to make him want to go pro early. I just can't imagine it. I mean, he's going to finish this season with probably 2,800 yards. So, that'll be 3 years at Georgia, 2,800 yards all 3 years. Never had more than 30 touchdowns. I mean, I know his completion percentage is high, but again, watch the games. A lot of these passes are 3 and 4 yard passes. I'm not saying that to knock him. He is what he is. He's an elite game manager, but he's a game manager. I'm just not sure if the NFL is looking for game managers in terms of first or second round draft picks, which is what I think you're looking at if you want to come out as a junior. I just can't imagine that. Yeah, he says third or fourth round pick. I agree, and I'm just not sure Fromm would come out early knowing that he would be a third, fourth, or even later round draft pick. Browns would take him right now. Well, Arizona is the new Cleveland Browns. They draft a quarterback every year now. He drafted Josh Rosen 2 years ago. he's a dud. Drafted Kyler Murray this past year. He's a dud. So I don't know. I guess they're going to draft Justin Herbert or Tua this year. We'll see. Fromm can go on the Bassmaster circuit, yeah. Yeah, Tua will go in the first round. I do think there's going to be some teams that I do think there's some NFL teams that won't draft Tua. I think there's going to be some teams that look at him and go, "We're not going to take him." Now, not all teams. Somebody's going to take him very high, but depending on how the draft order lines up, I could see an NFL team looking at Tua and going, we're not going to take a chance on that. Way too injury prone, undersized, has played poorly in almost every big game he's started. I mean, let's be real here. In almost every big game that Tua has started, he's played poorly. He played great against Oklahoma in the first round of the playoffs last year, but Oklahoma's defense is horrendous, especially last year. They were 120th. But he played terrible against Georgia. He played terrible against Clemson. He played bad against LSU this past weekend. So I don't know. I think some NFL teams will look at him with the injury issues and wonder if maybe some of his numbers and production in that is due to the fact that they have Jerry Jeudy and Devontae Smith and Henry Ruggs and Waddle. I mean, these are all NFL receivers. Irv Smith last year, one of the best tight ends in America. So I don't know. I'm not saying that to say that Tua's not going to get drafted very high. Tua's going to get drafted. He'll be the first or second quarterback taken, I think. I think him and Justin Herbert will be the first couple of quarterbacks taken. And here's the thing, and I'll tell Alabama fans this about Tua because I say this all the time to Georgia fans. I don't care what Jake Fromm does in the NFL. I could care less. Jake Fromm could go on to the NFL and win 10 Super Bowls and go 18-0 a bunch of years in a row. I wouldn't care. That wouldn't change anything that he did at Georgia. Georgia's a college team. So I want a quarterback I want a quarterback that's going to show up and when it counts in college. I want a quarterback that's going to win me games in college. I could care less what these people do in the NFL. And Alabama fans should feel the same way about Tua. Tua's an elite college quarterback, probably the best quarterback Alabama has ever had. It shouldn't bother Alabama fans if there's an NFL team or two that aren't sold on him, or if he ends up being a flop in the NFL. Who cares? You're an Alabama fan. I don't care what Jake Fromm does in the NFL. I could care less. I promise I could care less. I want Jake Fromm to win games on Saturday this year. I don't care what he does on Sundays at some point in the future. Georgia's a college team. I hear that from Georgia fans all the time. I get sick of hearing it. I don't care what they do in college. It's no concern of mine. Drizzle, thank you for the super chat, sir. Says, good morning, Lou, December 7th. Better hope the Florida Fromm shows up. Should be an epic matchup. Just because UJD is elite doesn't mean LSUD is terrible. They're still top 20 in the nation. What? I'm not calling you a liar, but I am gonna look into that. Total defense, Georgia is 5th. LSU is 33rd, so stop. Come on. Tyrants, thank you for the super chat, sir. Appreciate that. Here's more money for you. You're awesome, and you always brighten up my day. Keep the morning shows, always make it better. Keep it up, man, and good morning. And thank you very much, Tyrants. I really, really appreciate all you guys with the super chats this morning. That's what keeps these live shows going, I'll be honest. Especially, that none of that matters, but I really appreciate you guys showing me some love there. It means a lot, so thank you. Man said LSU has a top 20 defense. I don't know about that, buddy. How about this? Let's see. Gave up 38 points to Texas. 38 points to Vandy. 28 points to Florida. 20 points to the Barn. 41 points to the Gump. That's not a top 20 defense. I'm sorry, it's not. I'll show you what a top 20 defense would look like. Here's what top 20 defenses do. Six points to Vandy, 17 points to Notre Dame, 14 points to Tennessee, 17 points to South Carolina, 0 points to Kentucky, 17 to Florida, 0 to Missouri, 0 to Arkansas State. That's Arkansas State. That doesn't even count. That's what top 20 defenses look like. Now, LSU has been crying basically for years to get an offense. They finally have one. And now that's not good enough. They're pretending that their defense – no, it's not. This sounds just like Oklahoma fan who always blames their poor defense on the fact that they have a good offense. No, it's just not – the LSU defense is just not where it has been. It's just not. Is LSU's defense as bad as Oklahoma's? No. But it's not as good as it has been, and it's not top 20. So, I mean, it's just not. Sorry, before the Bama game, LSU was 19th. Well, we can't just pretend like the Bama game didn't happen. I mean, Bama was scoring 50 points a game last year. We held them to 35. They were scoring 40 points a game the year before that. We held them to 26. Good defenses don't give up a team's average points to them. In other words, this year, what's Alabama averaging this year? 40 points a game? What are they scoring LSU? 40? You have an average defense. That's the way I see it. And again, I'm not knocking LSU. I think LSU is one of the best three teams in America, and everyone else does too. So I'm not knocking LSU, but the offense is amazing. Joe Burrow is probably going to win the Heisman. Your wide receivers are ridiculous, but your defense ain't great. I mean, that's just what it is. Slim Shady. Good morning, sir. Says, good morning, Lou. Love the morning shows. Keep them coming. You're okay, even for a delusional SEC homer. I don't know how. I'm an SEC homer in that I pull for the SEC in non-con games. But I'm not one of the, I don't just think the SEC is the best at everything, period. I think the SEC and the Big Ten, I think you can make an argument this year for either of those conferences being the best conference, the Big Ten or the SEC. I think there's arguments that work either way. I still think Ohio State is probably the best team. I agree with LSU being ranked number one because of all the different things the playoff committee takes into account when they rank these teams. But if LSU and Ohio State played tomorrow on a neutral field, I would pick Ohio State to win. And I would pick Ohio State against anybody. I think they're the best team. They're not in the SEC. So, but generally speaking, I am an SEC homer. I guess I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you there. Anyway, guys, I got to end the show. I think I mentioned to y'all earlier. Drizzle, thank you for the super chat. I didn't say LSU was elite. I said LSU was better than average, and we were top 20 before the Bama game. Just wait when LSU plays UJ. UJD takes big hit. You probably said that when you played Auburn and you scored 23 points. Expect something similar in the SEC championship game. That's the type of game that's going to be. Doesn't mean, I'm not saying you can't win the game, but you're not scoring 40 points on Georgia. Just stop. No one thinks that. G. White might think that, but he has CTE. Other than that, no one thinks that. So anyway, Luann, my daughter is home sick from school today. I'm going to go ahead and end the show now. I am doing a video today. It is a super fan video. Thank you guys for all the thumbs up yesterday on that video, by the way. I think I said if it hit 250 thumbs up, I would do a super fan video today. And the last time I checked, it was already at 350. It's probably over 400 now. Let's see. Yeah, 492. So there will be a super fan video today. It's 25 degrees here in Augusta today, though. Luann's home from school sick. I'm going to end the show now, go in, check on her for a little while. I'm going to wait for it to warm up a little bit, and then after lunchtime, I'll come out here and put together a super fan video for you guys so you can be looking for that. But it'll come out a little bit later than my videos usually come out every day for the reasons I just explained. So, but big shout out to all you guys for tuning in this morning. I love these morning shows. You know what? I don't know if it's just because it's something new. I think I like the morning shows better than the night shows. I don't know. The night shows are a lot of fun, though, with the phone calls, but this is just something different. And I really appreciate how much support you guys have given me on the morning show. It's hard to explain if you don't do YouTube for a living, but it's always scary to try something new. You just don't know if people are going to like it or want it, or if they just want more of what you're already doing, or if people are even willing to accept or open to anything new. It's always a little bit of a risk, and you guys have been amazing with this morning show. I mean, we've only been doing it for about 3 weeks now. We do it 3 times a week. This is episode 11, so the support has been amazing. There's over 200 people watching right now. We've had as many as 400 watching in the mornings. I really, really appreciate how much you guys have embraced this new morning show that we're doing. I really have a good time with it. And like I said, the show is going to evolve and change over time. It'll get better as we go along, just like the nighttime show. If you watch a nighttime show from 2 years ago and you watch one now, it's totally different. They get better over time. I try new things. If they work, I keep doing them. If they don't, I don't. The format changes up a little bit as we go along, as I kind of figure out what works and what doesn't. I really like the idea of having guests on the morning show. I had a great time with Celine Driver in the studio the other morning. I would love to do more stuff like that. But even for people who can't come here, people who can call in and guest host with me. So anyway, I've got a lot of ideas, but I'm trying to take it kind of slow and not add too much all at once, because then, I don't know, I get overwhelmed. I feel like I'm going to screw something up or whatever. But the point is, I really appreciate all the support you guys have showed for this new morning show. It really means a lot. And this is going to go year round. I'm not going to stop this morning show just because the season ends. I'm going to keep this morning show going year round. I realize there will be less college football to talk about on a random morning in March than there is right now. But if last season showed me anything, it's that if you love college football enough and you get enough people together who love college football, you can find something college football related to talk about every single day of the year. And it really helped the offseason go by, I think, a lot quicker last year. So I can't wait to get into that stuff again this offseason. But again, I could go on and on. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. It means a lot. The next live show will be, what's today, Wednesday morning? The next live show will be tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Thursday, 10 p.m., and then Friday at 8 a.m., and then Saturday, 9 a.m. There's the schedule there. Screenshot that. Make it your whatever background on your phone so you always know when Uncle Lou is doing his live show. Yeah. Anyway, have a great morning.
You don't love me.
just make you rich.